Hello everyone. Thought I'd make a video, and this one may be combined with some other videos. Now, as you can see, it's mostly done. See this little foam hanging out of the tubes? That gets trimmed off. I thought it was already dry, but it wasn't, so I had to redo some of it. So I'll wait till the morning to trim it off. What I do is just trim that off, and surprisingly, the paint that I use, which is trim-clad gloss black rust paint, will actually paint this foam without making it melt. So it's a pretty handy way to finish off the open ends of the tubes, but that'll have to wait till tomorrow. Tonight I'm going to camp overnight in this trailer just in the backyard. I was going to go to a campground, but I play hockey early in the morning. I thought I'd show you the inside of the tongue box so far. We have a small AGM car battery, 1100 watt inverter, or converter. And you can see the shut-off switch, and it's all held up by a strut. There is an outside 110 volt outlet, and here you see this wire connects the inverter, and the experiment is going to be to see how long the inverter can run this heater on low wattage, which is 170 watts. I was running a 600 volt heater, or 600 watt heater, using the same setup. This wire goes into the cabin, and inside the cabin, the lower part of this receptacle is fed by the converter. So that's what'll be feeding the heat in here tonight. See, I've got a IKEA bed in here now, and the shelf unit, but I'll show you that tomorrow, or later on when I come in to go to sleep. Oops. Sometimes I forget to put the strap up out of the way before I close the door. At any rate, that's what I'm doing tonight. If I do kill the battery, I can just walk around and plug in the shore power. Hopefully that won't happen at 3 in the morning. All right, that's it for now. Okay, so I'm gonna give it a whirl. Camping tonight, just in the backyard. Most of this is just to test out a little heater, and also the performance of this 1100 watt inverter. So I'm gonna turn on, actually I think it's a converter, but whatever. So I'm turning on the power. This goes into a single outlet inside the cabin. And I don't know, I've left the light on in the basement just to give me a little light for the inevitable midnight visit to a tree. So here we are. I have the bed. Let me get the door. I have the bed set up like a couch right now. And let's see. I can going to turn on this little heater. I'm going to turn it on low, which is supposed to be 170 watts. Sorry about flipping you all over the place, but excuse me. So this is the inside. I just have one light on right now. There's one of the windows, the other window, which is supposed to double as an escape window. Actually, I have the flashlight on the phone right now, and I'm pretty sure I could get out of that window. Smaller people, no problem. All these windows are similar. They have bug screens and privacy curtains on all of them, which I'll go ahead and shut now. Including the door. You don't have to run them up and down like that. Just to show how it works. Pop in here in case I get thirsty later on. Let's see what's coming off this little heater. The one thing I noticed about these heaters is they don't have a thermostat on them. They just run all the time. Either 170 watts or 250 watts in the case of this one. But that's okay. If it gets too warm in here, I'll just shut it off. It does have the safety shut-off switch, which is something you should always check in any electric heater. All standalone electric heaters are required to have a shut-off if they tilt over. Because even though they're not super hot, there is the danger if they're hitting the wrong thing, they might cause a fire. But at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and try to get cozy and see how this little heater works. And I'll see you in the morning. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about my overnight experience. It was fairly cold out when I got in here, and I wanted to try out the small heater that you see on the right. But there was one problem. Because the whole trailer was cold, and that little heater is only 170 watts, it never really warmed up the inside of the trailer shell. And it only lasted about 4 hours. The main drawback being there is no thermostat on that little heater. So at about 2 in the morning, I had to get out and plug in the shore power. Since I'm at home, that's pretty easy. I just pick it up off the ground and plug it in. And I shut off the converter in the tongue box. I believe the reason the heater stopped was not because the battery was dead. It was more because of the inverter will not continue putting out 120 volt if the battery's probably gone down to about 8 or 9 volts, I would think. Because the lights still worked and everything else still worked, it was simply the inverter had kicked out because the battery voltage was too low. And the other problem was, because the shell of the camper never really got warmed up, and it was cold, and it was a little warmer in here, there was quite, it was what you would call a light dusting of condensation on all the fiberglass in here. So I turned on the main heater that you see on the left. That's also controlled by the thermostat on the shelf unit. And in 9 minutes, it was 20 degrees C in here. I opened up the fan, exhausted some air, and all the condensation disappeared completely. Now, once the trailer was warmed up and running using the bigger heater on shore power, it only came on, I was in here till 8 o'clock in the morning. It only came on 3 times during the night to maintain the 20 degrees C temperature, which is an attribute to being such a well-insulated trailer. So the little heater that I thought would be the answer for going on the road with, because it doesn't shut on and off, it's constantly drawing I believe it's 170 watts on low, and it only ran for 4 hours. Now, if it was a summer night and you just wanted something to take a bit of a chill out as it goes down, you know, from about 20 C to about 13 C, it would probably work okay. But you would have to turn the thing on and off all the time because of the lack of the thermostat. So I'm not going to use that. What I'm going to do instead is I will use the big heater that has a built-in thermostat on it. It doesn't have to be used with the wall thermostat. And I will plug it into the converter outlet and run it on 600 watts. And since it'll only have to run for about 10 minutes or so to warm up the inside of the cabin, then I will turn it down and use the thermostat. And I quite expect that it would be able to run all night long without a problem. Just because, even though it would be running at 600 watts, it's not going to be running very much. So, at any rate, that's the result of my experiment with this little heater that I'm kind of sorry I bought, but it was only $27. I'm not too worried about it. Everything else looks good, nothing leaks. Windows, very little condensation on the windows after I opened up the blinds in the morning. Again, just a little bit of a light misting. And sitting in here, it's, I think it's only about 7 or 8 degrees outside. I've got it set at 20 C in here again. And I'm not getting any condensation on the windows, which is great. All right, I'll catch you on the next one.